you cannot do anything significant on your own. So when you're kind of bragging on the fact that you're a self-made person and that you're doing this and you're working hard and you're spending a lot of time and energy and hours on a project, just understand, the only way that you're really going to be effective, the only way that you're really going to accomplish a lot is by bringing around you and developing a good team. Now, so you ask me, just say, John, this seems simple. I mean, one idea, good idea, now we got two ideas. Why don't I do this? Good question. I think there are several reasons why we do it ourselves instead of develop other players to be on our team. And I'm not going to give you all of them, but I'll give you 9. It's not the complete list, but it's close. Number 1, insecurity. Isn't this true? In fact, when I said insecurity in this studio, everybody groaned. Because every one of you right now are thinking either of yourself or of somebody that you know that's insecure. And they won't share. I know people that say, oh my goodness, I have this idea. And oh my goodness, I don't think I want to share it with anybody. I need to keep this idea. It's maybe the only idea I'll ever have. Just kiss that idea and they polish that idea and, hide that idea. And they wonder. They wonder why they're never successful. Remember this. You will never rise higher than your insecurity. That's a fact. Many years ago, I did a leadership tape entitled How to Get Out of Your Own Way. And the whole thesis of the tape was, don't worry about the competition. Most people blow themselves up. Don't worry about somebody beating you. Insecure people usually disqualify themselves. Number 2, ego. A lot of times we don't share because we don't want anyone else to have the credit. So if you have an ego as big as Texas, you understand, you don't want to let anybody know that maybe Gene had a good idea, and so you try to take credit for everything. And what I've always said is, watch out for the leader whose ego is bigger than their IQ. Number 3, fear. Many times we feel vulnerable when we share. Many times we feel vulnerable when we bring people around. And what if they don't do it as well as I would do it? And if I pass this out or if I delegate this, what happens if they mess it up? And I always say to people, don't worry about that. Look at yourself. You've been messing up long enough. Here's a thought. Why don't we pass up the messing up around? Just pass them out because you're already messing up. And so let somebody else share the mess ups with you. Number 4. Selfishness. Many people basically are selfish and they want to keep everything for themselves. Number 5 is pride. Some people think that, oh my goodness, if I bring somebody else into this, then somehow it means I'm less of a person, or I'm not who I should be, or I'm not the leader I should be, or somebody's not going to think I'm doing the job that I can do. Number 6, control. Don't you know some people that are control freaks? I mean, they don't let anything farther away than their grasp. And they basically don't feel comfortable unless they have total control. And by the way, let me just time out here. They're not any fun to be around, are they? I mean, when I'm around a control freak, I look for the exit door as fast as I can. I've got to go out and get a breath of fresh air. Number 7, naiveness. I think a lot of people don't use a team because they never had training on it. And they don't know and understand the value of it. So I think there are a lot of people like myself. When I got to 40 and had not accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and I kind of was a little bit set back on that whole situation and asked myself, why not? To be honest with you, I had a sense of naiveness. For a period of time, I just really wasn't sure how to develop a team. That's why we're having this seminar. That's why these training tapes on teamwork. Number 8, poor teammates. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever handed the ball off to somebody and they just consistently fumbled it? Isn't that true? I mean, it doesn't, I mean, you hand the ball off, they fumble. You hand the ball off, they fumble. You hand the ball off, they fumbled it. You with me? And after you do that for a period of time, you say, I don't think I want to hand the ball off. It's kind of like you hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie. After a while, don't you just want to hit Charlie? I mean, after a while, you say, Charlie, come on, boy, come on. Well, what I'm here to say to you is very simple. Every one of us have had bad experiences with handing the ball off to a teammate. Is that not true? Yes. Our problem is not that we had a bad experience. Our problem is we let the bad experience stop us from developing teams. How many times have you heard the expression, I would rather do it myself? If the job is to be done right, you gotta do it yourself. Huh? Now, this kind of an attitude, I guess it's best reflected when Mark Twain said, when we have bad experience, our tendency is to back off of the bad experience. Mark Twain said, if a cat sits on a hot stove, that cat won't sit on a hot stove again. He went on and said, that cat won't sit on a cold stove either. That cat just don't like stove. Well, that's what happens when we have a bad experience. And every one of us have had bad experiences with team players. Sometimes that causes us to say, no, I'm going to do it myself. And then I think also, there's one more reason I think we do it ourselves, and that is a lack of training. I think a lot of times, nobody has ever taught us how to train and develop people. Let me give you background. Let me give you the process that I went through in developing a team. Now, my background is in the pastorate. And so when I realized that I needed to have the help not only of the lay people in the congregation, but I also needed to get a staff, and the church grew to the place I needed to get a staff, I'll never forget. Here's the process, and you just kind of think your way through this. First of all, I did everything myself. We've all been there. Then I said, okay, I need help, so I brought somebody else on the team. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is it didn't work. So I let him go. Now I'm back to doing it all myself.